Right, hi guys, and welcome back to the Moaning Yorkshireman, and welcome back to something different on the channel. Well, I say different. This car has been in our ownership for the best part of 20 years, and it's never had a YouTube video, so here it is. This is our BMW 3 Series E46 320i, and yeah, basically I'm going to give it a once-over today because it's been doing the mileage while our little Trevor up there is still broken. Not got around to him fixing him yet, my little Matiz of course. So, yeah, I thought I'd give you a show around it, and we're going to check the oil and water on it, check the tyre pressures, the basics of it, because it's been doing the mileage getting from me to work and back, basically, and this is the spare car these days. So, yeah, we're going to take you for a once-over around it. It's not in perfect condition, but we still love it quite a bit. Yeah, so we'll take you around it. So the first thing you can see, of course, is condensation in the indicators. That's not brilliant. The badge has got all faded, unfortunately. And then this side, the headlamps are a little bit faded, and this one's actually got water in it, look. So that's why BMWs don't necessarily indicate, because the blinker fluid's low, whereas this one's fine. That just always falls out, unfortunately. Just one of them things. I think it's got a broken bracket on it or something, because it all wobbles around. But yeah, what can you do, eh? What can you do? For the most part, though, it's not too bad for a 20-year-old car. It does the job. It certainly gets you from A to B. It's very rarely let us down as well. The reason why we have to check the oil and water so much is because it overheated once. The coolant level cap wasn't put on properly, and it basically splashed water all over the place and caused a mess. The interior, looking a little bit tired now, but not too bad really for this age. The steering wheel's got all sticky and horrible, which is weird. After a long journey you can feel your hands like really sticking to it, which isn't ideal. Done just shy of 120,000 miles. We'll start it up in a minute. Yeah, it's just basically it just needs a bit of a loving. It's just sort of like gets left on the top there where the Matiz is, and basically just gets used as and when it needs to be. But at the moment it's putting in the miles because obviously the other vehicle's broke, and you might have noticed that there's no RX-8. That's now in storage for the winter. I've found somewhere to finally store that car, which is nice. That's handy. All the stuff in there, of course. We've got some coolant, some oil, and of course the tyre pressure gauge to read the tyre pressures with. But it's not a bad car for 20 years old, really. We got it in 2005, so we've owned it pretty much since new. We are the first official owners of it. It was an ex-demonstrator model from BMW all those years ago, and we got it with about 6,000 miles on the clock. And then since then we've done all the rest of the mileage. But yeah, it's not a bad car at all, really. The main issues here are the rust on the rear arches. It's very common. The front wings did have rust on them, and we've got that sorted out. We've got that amended. It's same on the other side, but I don't think it's as bad on the other side. No, not as bad, but you can just see it starting to creep in there. So yeah, it's not a bad car really. It doesn't do too bad. But yeah, that's what we're going to do today. We're going to check the oil and water on it. The front wings, we actually failed its MOT because there was like rust all bubbling up here, and it was actually sticking out and jutting out, and it was classed as a sharp object. So we had to get new wings on and get them repainted, which they've not done a bad job on really. They do need a polish now, but we've left it. I mean, it's been like 3 years since. We've never actually got round to polishing it off, you know, to like get it back to best, because obviously after time it sets, doesn't it, the paint, and I know what I mean anyway. But yeah, it's overall not a bad car. Number plate's getting a bit faded now as well, but it does the job. So we're going to inspect it. I'm going to make sure it's up to scratch and ready to head to Manchester later this evening. So we'll pop the bonnet. And we'll lift it up. Under here you see it's quite covered in oil. That's because the oil cap wasn't put on properly one day. I drove it all the way to Northampton, Kettering Way, for a festival without any issues at all. Never had to stop. Then the second I stopped there was just smoke billowing into the cabin. That was quite fun. So obviously we've had to wipe all that out. But yeah, I mean, it's not a bad car really. For its age and its mileage, it's not done too bad. One of the last good BMWs in my opinion anyway. It runs fairly faultless. I'm trying to think of issues we've actually had with it, and apart from obviously that not being put on properly one time and obviously causing the coolant to flood out, it's sort of got a little bit of a coolant issue since then, but it only uses coolant intermittently. It's weird. There's definitely something not fully right with it, but at the same time it's not bad enough to warrant getting rid of it or to inspect further. You just top it up and then it's fine for months. Yeah, there's not really much wrong with it, to be honest. It's just a solid car. So yeah, we'll check the coolant level while we're here, shall we? Of course, with coolant, make sure the vehicle is actually freezing cold and cool before you check the coolant level. Don't go doing it while it's hot, because it'll just spurt out and burn you. This cap is so bloody annoying, it's unbelievable. And as you can see, it's just a little bit low, because that little float there should pop up to like where that ring is and just be a little bit higher, a little bit prouder. So yeah, there's plenty in it, but it's just that tad low, just a shade low. So we'll just give that a little bit of a top up in a second. And of course that's the dipstick, so we'll check that in a second as well. The washer fluid, yeah, there's plenty in that. That'll get us from A to B still. That'll get us Manchester and back. And we'll just check the oil level now. So let me just top that up, and then we'll go again and check the oil. So here we go, one-handed coolant level time. Look at that. Like I say, it doesn't need much, but it just needs enough. Oops, excuse me. And then as you can see now, that float is just proud of that lip. So I'll probably just give it a little bit more to be on the safe side. But yeah, that is now done. That's full. That's no problem at all. That'll go for ages. So this is, I couldn't tell you the last time it was checked, but as long as it's proud of that, it's classed as full. So brilliant. So I'll pop the cap back on, and that job's a good one. And always make sure that this cap is on properly, of course, because if it isn't, it'll blow off like it did do previously, and then you lose it. Then you have to find another one. It just gets a bit of a ball ache. So that's the screw tap put back on, and there's just your reference again. Look, minimum, maximum. So we're at maximum now, so we're quite happy. And of course that filler cap's going nowhere. Right, now time to check the oil. I think this is gonna have to be done like skilled mode. I think I'm gonna have to try and show you how it's done with one hand. This should be fun. So first off, of course, give it a wipe. I don't know if you can see that, but give it a wipe, and then you check the oil level. Again, I couldn't tell you the last time the oil was checked, so it might need doing. And then we'll look at the oil level there, and it's on minimum. It's on minimum. I don't know if you can see that, but the oil is just creeping to that line there, which means it needs a good gulp. So a good gulp is what we shall give it. So I shall position you that way. I don't know if you can actually see the cap there, but the cap is rather annoying. This is why it didn't get put on properly last time, because you have to twist it. I can't remember which way it goes. It's just a bit of a bugger. You have to like sort of pop it up first. Probably going to need two hands, to be honest with you. There you go. So you twist it, and then it's supposed to just pop like that and then stay on, but it just falls off. So yeah, good fun. So we're going to put the oil in there. And again, just give it a good glug. It's probably going to need a fair bit of this, but we've only got it so it trickles out slowly, because we don't want to overfill it, and we don't want to just have it pissing out everywhere all over the engine bay and covering it again, and us getting covered in smoke when we're sat inside it, because that wouldn't be fun. I'm going to make sure it gets a good drink, because as we saw, it was on minimum on the gauge. So I think we'll check it at that. Let it settle for a bit first. Give it a wipe. And then check the level, and with just a little bit more I think we could do with. It's sort of like there now, so it's in between minimum and full, which isn't bad, but I think we can give it a little drink more. Just double check it again. Yeah, definitely need a bit more in that. I won't bore you with the process again of showing you how it's done, because I'm sure you know how to do it by now, but you just basically check it until it's at the recommended gauge for your car. Some always said just below full, some say in between minimum and full. But this car, obviously, with its age, its mileage, and the fact it drinks a bit of oil and uses a bit of coolant, we just fill it to the max line every time. So I've just given the car another top up again, so we'll double check again, see where we are now. And we are just slightly below the fill line. You can see just there, look, it's just starting to get a little bit wet there. Sorry if you can't focus, but yeah, so we're just at below the maximum fill line, which is about there. So I'm happy with that. We'll call that one a result. And now we'll move on to the tyre pressures, I think. Right then, guys, so let's do the tyre pressures. Now, before we do the tyre pressures, of course, I'm using the one that goes into the sig lighter of the car. So always start the car up. Don't run it on the battery, because it'll go flat. Turn off radio. There we go. It's like a Persian look. So we'll get the tyre inflator out, and we'll plug it into there, and we'll give the tyres a good blow up, I think. So the tyre pressures for this car should be 30 psi. Haven't been checked for a while though, so we shall see what they read. 26.5, so yeah, definitely need doing. I've set this to pump up to 31 though, because obviously sometimes once you blow a tyre up and then take it off, it can basically, the pressures aren't quite accurate when it gets to 31, so I just blow it up to 31 and then it'll probably settle at around 30, which is fine then. So we'll just flick the switch on and it'll just automatically do it until it gets to 31. There you are, so 31 psi, that's nice and happy, I'm happy with that. Cap off, bang. And dust cap back on. Jobs are good, and so I'm going to do that for all 4 tyres, and we'll be good to go. There you go, and it stopped itself. In fact, it just creeped over 31.5 there, but that's all 4 tyres done. So undo it, pop the cap back on, and jobs are good un for the tyres. So yeah, that's it. That's basic maintenance, really. I could obviously show you how to inspect the bulbs are working, but you just literally turn them on and have a look around. I'm not going to bore you with that. I know they all work anyway because I've just tested them. But yeah, you know what to do. Basically, if you're going for a long drive, check your oil, check your water, check your tyre pressures, and check all your bulbs are working. And that's basically the general maintenance of the car. As long as you keep up to date with the servicing and things like that, and you know there's no major issues with the car, you're not going to do a long journey with a noise on it and stuff like that, or you could think the wheel bearing's going, then you're fine and you're good to go. So yeah, there you have it then, guys. That is our BMW 3 Series, never affectionately given a name other than Beamer. So yeah, there you go. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and as always, much love.